Hey, everybody. Thanks for downloading this episode of the Black and Gold podcast brought to you by Appalachian Commercial Real Estate. And Appalachian Commercial Real Estate provides professional commercial real estate services in the Boone sales, leasing, consulting, and appraisal services to owners and users of commercial real estate. For more information, go to their website at appalachiancre.com. And Charles, give us that address. I'm not address. What am I trying to say? That number, that phone number to call or text James Milner.
I think I could probably get the address, but the telephone number is 828-719-0408.
And there we go. Okay, post-game score, Appalachian State 20, the Lindenwood Lions from, what is it, Jefferson City, Missouri, 13.
St. Charles, Missouri.
St. Charles, Missouri. Lindenwood, 20-13. Charles, what do we think?
Do not forget their name.
No, of course not.
Or where they're from. Put some respect on it, I guess. What do we think? It was a decent first quarter. And then from there, it just looked like nothing great to write home about.
Yeah.
Is that, I mean, it was a very interesting day at the Rock altogether.
It was.
What do you think,
First
AJ?
of all, it was great that it was just a monsoon there earlier in the week. They was going to say it was going to monsoon. And then outside of a small drizzle in the second half, there was nothing. So that was good. It was good weather. But, I went back and watched a little bit of the game. I didn't want to because I was sitting there like last week I thought was some, the boot on the throat. We're going to put you away, even though we made some mistakes. And, the biggest changes that a team makes is from week 1 to week 2. And that's Coach Loggins even said that. So you come in here, and I got to say, man, like we have played down to opponents for several years. We didn't like dominate ETSU last year. We didn't. And we've played down to opponents. We've allowed them to hang around for several years. And then that Charlotte game, I was like, we did make some mistakes. We weren't perfect. But I just felt like there was enough juice in the tank and some things to tighten up that it would not take much to ratchet it up to where this would be like a game not to even think about. And we went the opposite way. But I think, in fairness, I think it's in very specific areas. To me, the defense played really well all day. I think they did. But they also weren't helped by 4 turnovers, having to be on the field 4 times that they shouldn't have been. And honestly, the concerns, and I said this last week on the post game, I thought AJ Swan was really, I think it really benefited from the play designs that allowed him to make these quick passes to where the guys he was throwing to were really, really open. Even when he was inaccurate, it wasn't in danger of being intercepted. For whatever reason, that went away this week. He's not very accurate. Obviously, he's got a strong arm, but he wasn't very accurate today. He did turn the ball over and then threw a couple that were like, yikes. I hope that doesn't get intercepted. And even though DeBinion ran for 200 yards, just a struggle to convert when we needed to. And it was a head scratcher, man. It was like we got worse on those areas that we needed to tighten up. Another fumble at the goal line, which was inexplicable. Like, how was that? What if you had bet on that? Like consecutive weeks of fumbling at the goal line from a defensive back, sneaking up behind a wide receiver.
It's such a ridiculous play that can happen once in a season, much less twice in back-to-back games. That the books are too dumb or too smart to put anything up there like that because they would lose so much money. If there's something to bet on, there's going to be some idiot who's going to sprinkle it just because they like seeing big numbers and big payouts.
Yeah.
But yeah, this like the strong first quarter, like we had 222 yards.
Yeah.
Total offense. So they're 26. we said we had 4 penalties though in the first quarter.
Yep.
We only had the ball for like 6 minutes. The first quarter felt like it took forever to play.
Yes.
But once we get to the end of it, it's 14-0. And you're just like, okay, at what point are we going to just really put this out of reach? And to think that we would just add 2 more field goals for the next 45 minutes and then it be a 1-possession game where we actually had to make a stop or move the ball a little bit on offense to kill the clock. It's kind of precarious. I don't know how else to say it. It was almost like once that play had happened again, with Stroman, that they just kind of like in this here we go again kind of thing.
Yeah.
But it felt like last week it sparked us, and this week it just absolutely flattened us.
Yes,
and
I agree with that.
And for whatever reason, I mean, they dominated time of possession all game long in the first quarter as well. And I'll say this, Dominion only had 3 carries in the first quarter, and he had 22 others for the rest of the game. We probably were hoping, at least a lot of us probably were hoping, that like we don't need to give the ball to Rashad Dominion 25 times on Saturday to beat Lindenwood, to win, to win. Yeah, to beat Lindenwood, however you want to put it. And so, I mean, AJ Swan was 8 of 11 in the first quarter. That's great. 8 of 11, 179 yards. And then for the rest of the game, he's 11 for 23 for 114 yards.
Yeah.
So, was there a little bit of, all right, we're up 14-0. We're probably fine. Our defense is playing good. Of pull it back a little bit. If we did do that, we pulled it back. It feels like we pulled it back a lot. Yeah. Like we really we're like, hey, we're gonna go the speed limit here in the school zone versus being out in the highway.
I think what you just said though made the most sense to me. Like after that fumble in the end zone for another touchback, it felt like from that point it was different. And like body language on offense, I still think the defense played well. I mean, we had them at -1 rushing yards and that was the one thing last year. Like we just, if the other team had a strong rushing attack, we just couldn't do anything about it. And this year, that is not the. We had 8 sacks, -1 rushing yards. They did have Rico Bond, number 1, who was a really great piece for Lindenwood. But they had some juice. But and I'll tell you, our first possession out of the second half to me was kind of like the typical, like it was just head scratching where we hand the ball to Dominion, he goes for 6 yards. So we're sitting there 2nd and 4, then we throw it 30 yards and incomplete. Then we throw it 15 yards and complete. As we're sitting there punting on 4th and 4 when we got 6 yards. So I'm like, I'm not going to sit there and split hairs, and I'm certainly not going to go toe-to-toe and try to forget Dow Loggins having NFL experience, but it seemed like there were possessions like that. It's like, drop pass over here, a pass over your head over here. We did one thing well in that possession, but 2 other things that we didn't execute. And if you have a bunch of possessions where you do more things where you don't execute, but you do one thing to execute, that just doesn't stack up. You don't win that way. And I don't even think Dominion, even though he had 200 yards, did his work necessarily lead to scoring? Like, I'm not sure it did. Like, we had those 2 touchdowns. You said he touched the ball 3 times in the first quarter, but we had to give him the ball 25 times, and it really didn't even make a ton of difference because we only kicked 2 more field goals the rest of the game. Yes, if we just laser focus this, AJ Swan didn't have a really good game. He missed a lot of passes. He turned the ball over. Dominion, I'm sorry, we haven't mentioned this, fumbled twice, which was huge. And I was really surprised to hear Brandon Turner say this on the post game, but he said, "So what? Give him the ball." And I was like, I don't know. You fumbled twice. I mean, that kind of negates all the work you did. Like you're plowing ahead, but then you give the ball away. So
that's real tough. It's real tough because how are we going to quantify all those turnovers? Like, an interception is going to happen. Okay, fine. But once again, the same play that happened last week, that's one thing. And then Dominion fumbling twice. Yeah. But how much that is like, well, you have to give him the ball regardless of, how often he may put it on the turf, because when he has it and he doesn't fumble, he's usually making good work of it. 7.8 yards carry. I mean,
Yep.
and at the end, his long was only 26. He's not doesn't appear to be a game breaking like 60-yard TD run kind of guy. But it does seem like that what I've seen he was really good at is he when he changes direction, he doesn't slow down much, if at all. A lot shiftier looking than he appears. So yeah, I do think he's a good player, and he's proved that for 2 weeks. Against Charlotte, hard to tell. You would imagine that maybe we just chalk this up to one of those weird games of putting the ball on the ground. I don't know. It feels like we need to see more, but for a team to, they played an FCS team last week and got 35 points rung up on them, and we could only manage 20. It kind of feels like we left a lot out there. And sure, those drives in which you turn the ball over, it's frustrating. And we certainly got a lot of offense anyway, over 500 yards again. That is great. But really, at the end of the day, you got to finish a drive. And it doesn't matter who's turning it over. They got to stop. You can't have 2 surefire touchdowns, not happen because somebody makes a hustle play on you. Yeah. And now, and if there wasn't any urgency in that this past week in practice about don't let this happen, well, it wasn't the same person. I mean, you got to learn from somebody else's mistake. and so now you've got clearly our top 2 wide receivers. I think this is fair. Stroman and Jaden Barnes. Mm-hmm. They're going to get the work, but they're not finishing. And so who else is going to get that work? Is someone going to take Jaden Barnes' spot on the roster because of a fumble, or Dalton Stroman's? Hey, probably not. We're after that, our top 2 targets are probably tight ends. So you got to have that ability to stretch the field, and you got to have that game-breaking potential from Jaden Barnes, who is always looking to score every time he touches the ball, and no matter how much he chops around and dances. But at some point, you are who you are. I know it's just game 2, but next week will tell us a lot, because we actually go to a team and go on the road. It's not like a second home game or a home away from home. This is a road trip, and you make those mistakes next week, they're gonna pay.
Yeah, I think this looked like a little bit like I don't know. I was gonna say a team that was reading its own press a little bit, but I don't even know if I believe that, because there was too much effort on defense. I like the way the defense played. I really think. I mean, how many drops were there? I think at some point I had counted there were 6 or 7 drops, and not accurate. There was one, I don't even know if I'd call it a drop. There was one where I think it was Barnes who was wide open in the flat, and AJ had him right there, just threw it at his feet. It was like, hit him in the feet, hit him in the shoes. So little things like that stack up. And if you do enough of those things, you don't execute, then you get flat, then you put pressure on yourself. And then what happens on the other side, Charles, and this is what I noticed, is Lindenwood got a little juiced up. They were playing hard, mm-hmm. and they were, and because we were letting them believe that they were in it. You know why? They were in it. It was 20-13. So I think there's got to be better execution from some key positions. Being they are what they are: quarterback and wide receiver. You got to catch the ball, and you got to be accurate. And if you isolate, if you look at everything else, I don't think the line played bad. Rashad Dubinion turned the ball over twice, and this is why you said it's kind of a complicated thing. He carried the ball 25 times, got 200 yards. That's pretty good. 2 turnovers, really bad. But I don't know. So that's kind of a mixed bag. So those 2 areas really need to be fixed. And I think this is actually a huge opportunity for Loggins, who prides himself as the quarterback guy. And you've got Clyde Christensen there. Because you can't say this guy's a game manager, then a la Taylor Lamb, without kind of winning your home games, right? Like I remember, when you're a freshman, they say, hey, these general ed classes, bio 1000, English one, get A's in those, because it gets harder. So when you have these throws out to the flat, someone's open, you got to make sure that you hit them, and let's not stump our toe, over some easy things. But I think this could be a really great opportunity for Coach Loggins to try to elevate and coach up AJ Swan to tighten things up, because I don't think he got better at the things that maybe I saw against Charlotte. It was like kind of more of the same. But then also, I don't remember who our wide receivers coach is, but too many drops, man. I mean, I get like there was I watched a little bit of the second half on replay this morning, and there was a play to Stroman out to the sideline where Avery said, well, hit him, he threw it to a place where no one can get to it. And that wasn't really true. He kind of threw it behind Stroman where the DB ripped it out of his hand. So that counted as a drop. But I don't know. It's kind of contested because it was kind of thrown behind him a little bit. But there were absolutely plays that just were dropped, hit him in the hands and just dropped it. So it's a totally different ball game if those things don't happen. But, at the end of the day, they happened, and we played a 20-13 game. And we just shouldn't play a 2013 game against Lindenwood. And I'm not saying that Lindenwood's this terrible team. David Jackson had a rundown. He talked about this on the broadcast. Just about the context of their program. They got a lot of FBS transfers, and they look to still be a playoff team. And, they stumped their toe and had some really bad breaks and turnovers and missed field goals last week against, I think they played St. Francis. And but I don't care. We should have had our boot on the throat on offense against Lindenwood, because the defense did what they were supposed to do. I remain encouraged by like our run defense, and we're swarming, and that defensive line played so well yesterday, and that was good. Taking the ball away, DJ Burks and McCantos getting those picks were awesome. Encouraged to see that, but I don't know. That was super uninspiring on offense to watch. It's confusing that we weren't able to tighten up and execute better against I'll say it's an inferior opponent, and we didn't do it. Should have done it.
This kind of takes me back to the sexual question we had pre-Charlotte. That someone asked which side of the ball has more pressure between the defense and the offense, and it's clearly the offense. If you go, and I'm nitpicking stats here, and but it's the third quarter sheet, right? And we had 174 yards of offense. We scored 3 points, 3 or 4 on third down, 9 minutes possession, 2 penalties though, and we didn't punt. So there's your problem. You can't have all these empty yards. If you're going to you're going to outgain someone by 160 yards in a quarter.
Yeah,
you need to have that representative on the scoreboard with like 10 points or 14 points or more.
Yeah.
And that was just kind of tough and frustrating to deal with. Just I don't know what the expectations were. Kind of like name a score, but late in the week, when we recorded earlier this week, we didn't really have a line, but it ended up being like 31 points, and so that's probably what we had guessed or something to that effect. So that's what we're looking at, and then here, we put up 20. Just 20. If it wasn't for the defense yesterday, where would we have been? They played pretty shut down.
Yeah.
Because if you have any less of a defensive effort, you in a game like you played yesterday, and the offense doesn't click like you want it to, as far as look, it's all about scoreboard. It doesn't matter how many yards you get unless you score points. You can certainly have a lot fewer yards and still score points. It's taking advantage of the opportunities when you have it. But you go play a Sun Belt team, whoever that team might be. This conference looks really weird right now. They're going to make you pay for it. It's going to happen. Like, you're going to lose ball games because of that. It's inevitable. You just cannot, put it on the ground and have these penalties that back you up and put you in long yardage situations, because all you're doing is just making those yards up. You still end up punting. On paper it looks like a successful drive, but you didn't get anything out of it. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. The defensive side of the roster certainly does come out smelling like a rose after 2 weeks, because you had mentioned the time of possession. Lindenwood had the ball for 35 minutes, still could only put together 13 points. And, that freakish, and this kind of like, again, gets you like, oh, man, this is just circus stuff. Like that touchdown that was on 4th and 40 or whatever it was at the end that was caught in the end zone. Like that should never happen. But, but it did. But But still, so they had the ball for 35 minutes. The defense still did what it did. It still protected, frankly, the offense. And it felt like, granted, I think we have, I don't know. I was going to say, I think we definitely in some spots, I think we've downgraded in skill position on offense in some ways. But last year, there's like a bizarro game because last year, I think the scenario would have been we would have given up a first play touchdown to somebody and we're scratching back and the defense is the one that's hurting us. And then we're having to rely on our skill position players on offense to put us back in the game, where this was flipped. We actually got ahead early and it's the defense that was sitting there bailing us out time and time again. And thank God that Coach Smith is able to rotate a lot of different guys out there. They didn't look tired to me.
And we were rotating early
job.
too, defensive line and linebackers. I thought that was really well done. And when you got a DJ Smith type team when the leading tackler is like your middle linebacker. You know what I mean? Like in Colton Ferris, and he's doing a great job the first two games, in my opinion.
I totally agree.
And the pressure was there on the defensive line. I mean, this is a mobile quarterback, and we still got to him 8 times. Like he was forced to run a lot. He was hurried several times. So props to the defense. I mean, they won that game yesterday. I know we never trailed, but they won the game.
Yeah, I totally agree. And if we're just sitting here from 30,000 feet and saying like, who are the playmakers on this team? Because that was one thing last year. Like on offense, you could say that we had playmakers in certain spots, but on defense, it was really, to me, there were 2, Santana Hopper and Joshua McDonald. Not McDonald, it's Joshua Donald. Sorry. But here, man, I'm seeing guys kind of pop up a little bit. Colton Ferris, definitely Ferris, one of them. McBurrow still played really well. Dylan Haas stood some people up at safety and tackled well. And so those defensive linemen, Kevin Abrams, Verwain still played with a lot of intensity. I just like in Thomas Davis. They gave him the player of the game on the radio broadcast. He had 3 tackles for loss, and he was all over the backfield. It was good. Who's it? Dylan Manuel was another one. Number 9. That number 9.
Right.
He's a beast. Yeah, he was a beast. So I don't know. For people listening to this going like everything's on fire, we suck again, or whatever, what I saw yesterday was key positions not executing, and that was keeping us off the scoreboard. I think that's very clear. But man, I'm seeing more playmakers on defense than last year. And to me, Ferris getting better. I really like how he's filled out and played. Thomas Davis, I think, is having the beginnings of what's hopes to be his best year. And if that defensive line keeps playing, man, we'll be good. But yeah, it was a weird day.
Yeah, it was definitely weird. It's it was just kind of head scratching a little bit, and I was worried that we would, like you mentioned a little bit ago, press clippings or whatever. It was like it was kind of like it was bound to happen. We were bound to be let down somehow, some way, because we were impressed a little bit last week, right?
Yeah.
So that what's to expect next week? Who knows? Southern Miss had a decent game yesterday, but we'll never. I don't know if we'll grasp this. It's still for a while, and I know that's what we said. Well, the season started, and I think are we more confused than we were 3 weeks ago, or are we just kind of wondering what this team is? I mean, because like if can you imagine if we if the offense, finish plays, number one, puts a game together, like it kind of looks really like, I mean, if you're going to put up 500 yards, I don't care who you're playing, the potential is there that like we could look really, really good, especially the way the defense is playing, especially the way the defense played yesterday after being on the field as long as they were. They just kept getting after people, running to the ball, pressuring the quarterback, and hitting. That's the biggest, I think, to me, the biggest part of that. And you've got the personal fouls and all that good stuff, like on the kicker. But it gets in their head a little bit, I guess. But yeah, we are hitting, and I think that there's something to be said for that. We're not we come across much stronger. We're much more violent. I think is the buzzword there than we'd have in the last couple of years, where we looked a little soft on the defensive side.
I agree. Definitely, looking forward, I know we'll talk about this for the midweek preview, but what I would want to see is catch the ball. And I think that solves a lot of what we got going on, what we had going on Saturday. Certainly quarterback play should improve. It needs to improve, needs to tighten up. And that's the wheelhouse, isn't it? That's Logan's wheelhouse. So in some ways, I wonder, it would be interesting to hook Coach Loggins up to a lie detector test and ask him, are you glad that you're the Sun Belt player of the week? Because he had kind of indicated we got some things to clean up on offense, and whatever he said against Charlotte, AJ gets Sun Belt player of the week. Everybody's like, oh, it's the greatest thing since sliced bread. And this is not me dogging on AJ Swan whatsoever, but I almost wonder if getting all that press about how good things were and, put all these yards against Charlotte and everything else, if that wasn't a great opportunity for Loggins to not have the quarterback room's attention again, and just say, hey, look at the tape, look at this, blah, 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 before going into conference play. I don't know. I think, I'm trying to look at the silver lining here, but that could be, I don't know. That could be what, it could be a good thing in a way.
It works both ways. I mean, that happens against a team or the team you're playing next. They look at that and they say, hey, look, we can think of whatever we want to of the opponent about whether they played well or didn't play well. But if the entire conference votes on it and they say he was the best player of the week, then that's just more motivation. Like, hey, we know we're making a difficult road trip to a place that's going to be full and all that good stuff, and it's an FBS team, but at the same time they lock in and say, hey, all right, so is that good? Will that be good for the rest of the year, that like everyone's going to say, hey, remember AJ Swan week 1 went out there and did what he did, 3 touchdowns and all that good stuff, and then say, hey, we gotta get in his face. But he does like to stand in there. I'll give AJ credit for that. When
for sure.
When he's hitting these big pass plays, he's getting hit.
Yep.
Right as he lets go of the ball. So
Yep.
he has that strength to, follow through his passes and they get to where they need to go. Like, probably incredible deep touch, honestly. But some shakiness in the intermediate and shorter passing game, especially to the sidelines.
Yeah. It's actually, speaking of getting hit, I absolutely noticed that. I'm glad you pointed that out. He did get crushed on some big throws and stayed in there. So absolutely. The other side to that is Nate Glantz, their quarterback, got sacked 8 times. Could have been 15 times because he got it on so many throws. That dude is sore today.
Oh, he has to be. Yeah, he earned it.
His ribs and his thighs and his knees and his what he is sore today because he was getting hit all day, whether he passed the ball or not. Which,
I mean, in total, he gets credit for 18 rushes.
Yeah.
That's what's on the stat sheet. 18. I mean, he led the team in rushing going backwards.
Yeah. He had more negative yards than any single rusher had in positive yards.
Correct. Exactly.
Jared Rhodes had 11 carries, 20 plus positive yards. Nate Glantz had 18 carries, negative 21 yards. So that's pretty incredible. But yeah, I mean, that's a long day at the office too. But yeah, teaching this offense, not the offense, not the whole offense. I think the fact that we're really not talking about the offensive line really is a good thing. We haven't really said, oh, it's soft or this or that. I think we're definitely experiencing better offensive line play. I think it really is in very specific. There are very specific things that need to improve, or it's not going to help us win. It's not going to help our defense, which is playing well, continue to be beneficial. But we'll see. Southern Miss, who did they play this week?
You had to ask.
No, I'm sorry. I thought you mentioned it.
I literally just looked at it and blanking here, but I'm sure we'll get there.
Yeah, no, it's okay.
Goodness.
Don't worry about it. It's a 7 p.m. kick.
Jackson State. So former home of Deion Sanders. I guess.
Former home of Deion Sanders. Yeah. Okay. What do their team stats look like? What do they do? Yeah. It
Well,
was
they got the Marshall quarterback, so
363 total
yeah.
yards. Yeah.
It's kind of tough to say. I mean, less than 4 yards a carry, but right at 66%, in that range,
Jackson
passing
State had 12
224
penalties.
yards.
Wow.
Yeah, that doesn't help. And 2 turnovers. So
Yeah. Well, very good. Okay. Well, we got to win. That's what's important. 2-0 for the first time since 2019 is what I believe Adam said on the broadcast. Getting closer and closer to bowl eligibility, and we'll have a chance to make up some ground. Not make up some ground, but start off on the right foot in conference play this Saturday, 7:00 in Hattiesburg. And outside of that, I don't know if I have much else to say. Charles, anything?
But outside the lines, do you have anything to say?
I do. Sat in the West
Yeah.
for the first time as a season ticket holder. And I got to say, huge fan of the vantage point. We're sitting up higher. And there is something cool about sitting low, like near the field. You feel like, you feel more energy, but there is something really great about never having a bad view to something.
Right.
And, we didn't really experience being in the shade because everybody was in the shade because it was overcast. But yeah, it was good. It was a really great first experience. We were excited to be in the new spot. Yeah. Is that what you were asking about?
Yeah, I was curious about that and the getting in and the getting out.
So we got in. I say we got in probably 30 minutes early. The boys wanted to. I took my son up with his friend, and they wanted to be in the stadium and kind of see all the stuff beforehand. Get their Gatorades and all that good stuff. So, it was smooth getting in and getting out. I'm a master at getting back to the car when I just have like my son with me. So we're able to bob and weave. So our rule is, you don't leave until the clock hits 0, right?
Right.
And so we're sitting out there at that patch of grass on the west side, kind of watching, as we're kneeling down the ball, and then boom, got out. I don't think I've ever got out of our spot quicker than that. It was quite fast.
The rain did help, cleared some people out. It was a good excuse to like, all right, that's enough, because you never know how bad it's going to be. But
yeah,
I know this has been a big topic, but what do you think was the deal with like stadium audio? Like, that was like shocking to me.
It's not good.
And I don't think we've discussed this a lot. I know a lot of people have discussed this a lot about dead spots and all that, and that's understandable. I've never had an issue with that, but I don't move around, and I've been in the same spot for a long time. But
it was noticeable.
Something had to have happened like late in the week, and they couldn't have done anything about it, or because there's no way that has been that way for a long time, and it's been ignored. At least I'd hope to think that it hasn't been that way.
Yeah, we've definitely over the years have had Satchel questions about like the audio, and we've both been like, I don't know, I don't get it. I don't know. Yesterday was not the case. Yesterday, it was bubbling and snapping, and it's my cousin used to have those big bump speakers in his SUV, and he'd blast it, and like the windows would rattle and shake, and it sounded awful, but he liked it, and that's what it sounded like this big explosion of sound, but it was like rattly and gravelly and and like it's distracting, and it sounds ugly. It sounds like a high school field's like busted speaker. But obviously ours would be louder. But yeah, I think that probably needs to be fixed. I would imagine you don't want a whole season where you're trying to entertain 30,000 people, especially when you have sponsors and stuff, like you're doing ad reads and stuff. You certainly want it to be clear. And then another thing is too, not to get too serious like David Jackson would about this, but like if you have like emergency announcements, like you certainly do want clear audio to announce like get to shelter or whatever. But there are some of those moments is like popping and wasn't good. It sounded very ugly. Yeah, so totally agree with that.
Yeah. really good crowd. I think they stayed
Mhm.
into it a lot longer than I expected them to.
Yeah.
And so I thought that was great. What
Oh,
about,
no. Yes, go
yeah,
ahead.
go ahead. No,
Um,
you know, when you go to somebody's house, and you knock on their door, like they said, come on in, or welcome.
mhm.
You know, like I was waiting for it, and I was like, and some days I might miss it just because I know it's going to be there. But for whatever, yesterday I was like, I don't know what, you know, it's first game. Maybe we've changed some things. Maybe some things got forgotten, but I don't think you can forget Welcome to the
Welcome
Rock.
to the Rock. It was not.
I think it has to happen. Like
That
I
was
don't care.
that was very disappointing and weird.
Yeah, I was like, where is it?
It felt like you answered the door and you didn't have any pants on. You're like, "Oh, whoops.
Yeah.
Something's missing here." Like, what
You're
am
right.
like,
Yeah.
but why would they do that? Like, why take that away?
I that had. I hope that was not intentional. You know what I mean? I mean,
Felt
I know they're
intentional.
gonna, and that, you know, they're gonna get the emails, or
I
read
just
the social media, and it just is crazy to think that at some point, you know, in these meetings they have about what are we going to do about these things, that it wasn't someone didn't have the opportunity to say, well, where's that? You know, it's always something. It feels like we always notice it when it goes away.
yeah.
Um, but I guess just doesn't get talked about enough. Like when you bring new people in and to do certain things like that, to handle in-game production, that like you got to make sure you're doing X, Y, and Z. Like if you don't, you're going to hear about it.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of, I guess, lost in communication somewhere. But is it the end of the
You
world?
don't
No, but it needs to be there.
see this is gaslighting stuff. Where if you say, "Where is it?" other people go, "Well, what is it? Is it that big of a deal?"
Hmm. Yeah.
You stack up enough of that stuff, man, and you don't have anything, you
Right.
know.
Exactly.
And I totally noticed it. I'm really glad you brought that up. But when it happens at the very beginning of the game, then you watch a 3-hour game, like you tend to, move on to other things. But have you watched any of the Dallas Cowboys, Jerry Jones Netflix? Have you watched any of that at all?
No.
So there's a scene in a scene. It's a documentary. The part in the documentary where Jerry fires Jimmy Johnson after they won the Super Bowl, which is crazy. But Jerry just talked about this. He said, I was laying in bed with my wife that night, the night that he had fired Jimmy. And he said his wife looked over at him and said, "You just can't have good, can you? You just can't have good. Like you always got to be stirring something up. Like you can't
Mm.
just sit and say, I just won the Super Bowl. We have the best team in football. You just can't have good. You got to mess it up." His wife said that to him.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like sometimes up there, on the mothership, and I'm not casting blame on one single person, like one individual, because I don't know. I'm not up there. But sometimes that's what it feels like to me. You just can't have good. Like we had since the late 90s, Sean Connery, Welcome to the Rock, and that was our thing. Like Virginia Tech has Metallica since the early 90s. Like Metallica is just their thing, the Enter Sandman. And then they get cute with it. And it's like, well, we're gonna do that. And it just the chain, and then they try to do the Penn State, we are App State thing, the zombie or the
Yeah. It,
they try to, you just can't have good. Sometimes the things that we do like the Mountaineer Walk is a great example. You just can't have good. Like let the people in the Justice Slot, in that Duncan area, let them come and do what we've always done with the Mountaineer Walk. And it was getting more popular. There were always more people showing up. And now they said, well, actually, we're just going to cross the street from the Quinn. And if you want to go see us, come see us. Like you just can't have good. That's the thing. Now, are they saying, oh no, our catering's up there now? I don't know. There's probably a good reason for it, but I'm telling you, sometimes just enough of that, like, hey, we're doing something new, and then it's lame. I don't know. Sometimes like you just can't have good. I don't know. That was what ran through my mind.
And this isn't the first time we've kind of made that mistake about Welcome to the Rock. That to me, that's what's more concerning. Is this doesn't just come out of the blue. This is like whenever it was, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago. Hey, we want that. Okay, cool. A couple years passed, took it away.
Yeah.
Did you not hear us the first time? Like they like it. Don't take it away.
Yeah. But yeah.
Black Saturday. You know, when you have Black
Yes.
Saturday, it's like, hello.
Yeah.
I know people in this industry change jobs a lot, but and move around, but you got to study what these people like. It's 34,000 people, almost 35 coming to this game. They came to the Lindenwood game. It's
Parents' weekend.
It's parents' weekend. Like that's the time to make an impression, right, and have things right. So some of these parents may not come back to the football game.
What just happened?
I don't know. Something loud had just happened in my house. I have no idea what it could have been. But anyway, it's loud enough to scare me. That's a first.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah.
Yeah.
Not to beat a dead horse.
No, to credit, actually, when they left out Black Saturday a few years ago, I don't think it was even a few years ago at this point. I think it was like 5+ years ago. When they left out Black Saturday, and we were like, "What are you doing? Like Black Saturday? Like how are you leaving out Black Saturday?" Now, back in the '80s, Black Saturday was they called every Saturday Black Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
But then throughout the '90s, it became either Furman or Georgia Southern. Those were like the Black Saturday games, and they alternated. Obviously, 1 year we'd be away, 1 year we'd be home with Georgia Southern, whatever. Now, obviously, when we joined the Sun Belt, we really we didn't have Furman anymore, had Georgia Southern, and then they put us on Thursday. So we had this kind of like Saturday problem where we didn't have a good who's going to be Georgia State, Idaho, Louisiana. We just didn't have a natural fit for that. So it kind of went away 1 year. And I remember Joey Jones reached out to me. And he's like, help me understand this, like Black Saturday and the significance of it. And it really comes down to like, when things change dramatically, like us moving conferences, that was a dramatic change. Us being, playing Georgia Southern on Saturdays, that went away for a long time. That became a big change. You got to have that creates opportunities for things to get lost and forgotten. And to Joey's credit, I'm sure Doug Gillen's credit, because he's ultimately signing off on this stuff. They did bring it back, and we have Black Saturdays again. But you have to be intentional about those things. Now, but some of these things I feel like it's intentional the other way. Like we're gonna make it in our image, and how it used to be done wasn't. And like the way that was done. And there's some examples of maybe good times when that was needed to do something new. But Welcome to the Rock, it's like, as much as we like hype up like the Rock, we're at the Rock, ball game at the Rock, like Welcome to the Rock is like a kind of a no-brainer.
Yeah, should be.
So we got to win though, Charles. And we got to sit here 2 weeks in a row talking about wins. So I guess that's a good thing at the end of the day.
Yep. Things are pretty good when you complain about the other little things that don't matter or do.
I saw they raised the price of the icing cups. I'm telling you, I don't know what's gonna happen.
Well, they took them away.
Yeah. And shout out to the guy behind me in line at the bathroom yesterday that threw up on himself and almost threw up on me.
Wow.
Thank you. Thanks for missing me and staying still while I could advance forward and get away from you. I really appreciate that, and your throwing up in the concourse for everybody to step in. Thank you.
That's a tough one. That's a tough one. You got to watch it out there. It's wild.
I had to tell the boys. I'm trying to draw attention away from it, and so we came out the other end of the bathroom. We're walking back through the concourse. Like, we're to walk this way in the concourse. What? No, our section. No, we're to walk this way, so we don't step in certain things. Anyway, all right, Charles. Well,
all right.
I think that's it. So we'll put a cap on this one, put a bow on it, wrap it up, and put it on the interwebs. And and of course, thanks to Appalachian Commercial Real Estate for sponsoring the episode. And until our midweek preview of the Southern Miss game, go Apps.